Welcome to the Farming Without the Bank podcast, the show with a no BS approach to money, hosted by a farm strategy expert and authorized IBC practitioner. Join us as we get real and expose the flaws of traditional financial institutions in order to help farmers take control of their finances, create peace of mind, grow their wealth, and leave a legacy. Now, here's your host, Mary Jo Ehrman.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. I have frequently asked questions today. I have been getting a lot of kind of the same questions over and over. And so I thought maybe it would be a good time to do a recap on those questions. Before I do that, though, be on the lookout. The fact that I will be in Iowa and we will be there July 20th. We are still trying to get a venue. I know, it's crazy. But the same issue that we had before is, where do we get a projector? Okay, let's talk about that for 2 seconds. Why do hotels not have projectors in every room and screens in every room? That is why people rent hotel rooms for conferences. It's so that they can present things. Anyway, we will be in Cedar Rapids July 20th. Unless everything falls apart and we can't find anything, then obviously we won't be there. But we don't even have tickets to sell yet because we are still trying to nail all that stuff down and people don't get back to us. Yes, isn't that awesome? So be on the lookout for that. And if you are a client, we have nailed down the location for the client-only annual conference. Yes, if you are not a client, I am sorry, but you are not invited. It is for my clients only, and it will be in San Antonio, Texas, in January of 2024. We don't know the exact week yet. We are still trying to nail down the exact week. It'll probably be the first Thursday, Friday, or the third Thursday, Friday of January. Otherwise, we have the No-Till Conference and NCBA to contend with, and I'm not going to compete against either one of those. So it's pretty well narrowed down, but it is going to be in San Antonio. So if you are a client and you got the text message because you were supposed to vote on where you wanted it and you haven't voted yet, everybody else decided for you. You can still vote, but San Antonio is winning, not by a lot, but it is winning. So it is going to be San Antonio. We've already started the planning process of that. But if you're a client, mark your calendars for January because it's going to be amazing. All right, let's get into it. The frequently asked questions. Here is some of the bigger ones that I have had recently. How do we get money into a policy to get started? And so this is just a common question sort of in general. And I don't know if I've ever really talked about it in a podcast before, but we can put extra money in year one. So there are a lot of people right now, for whatever reason, maybe we're selling a house. Maybe we are coming into an inheritance. Maybe we're selling commodities and we have come into some money. So we have this large sum of money sitting around. Or I actually have a lot of clients that before they even meet me, they have already got rid of their IRAs, old 401ks, stopped contributing to that stuff. And so now they want to use that money to start a business or something. That can go into a life insurance policy as a dump in year one. So what that means is we can get extra money in there. That extra money then can be borrowed right away. We're borrowing in 10 days, you guys. We can be borrowing that money right away and using it to start the business, using it to expand operations, using it to expand businesses, whatever it is that you're doing. And so how do we get started And how do we get all that money in? That's one way. The other way is, do we have something in savings, right? If we don't, we're going to have to pay that premium monthly. And you can pay the premium monthly. You're just not going to have access to every single dollar right away. We're going to have to be patient and wait. And that's okay too. We don't have to do these huge dump ins. And if we have to start slow, we start slow. There are many people who think, oh, you need to start with a whole bunch of money or don't get started. Well, that's crazy thought process to me. Because if we don't get started with a little bit, when are we going to have a lot? That's like listening to Dave Ramsey and saying, you can't do anything until you're debt free. Well, when the hell am I going to be debt free? Because it just pours on and pours on and pours on. And I was talking to my assistant this morning and she was talking about her electricity bill and how expensive it is. And I said, I know our rental property in town, the electricity is unbelievable. And I'm like, what is yours? Well, hers is well more than what ours is at the rental property. And I thought, well, maybe that's not so bad. Like, it is just astronomical right now. Things are expensive. And so, with inflation the way it is, when are we going to actually be debt free to start something? Probably not. So get those things started now. I was just talking to somebody yesterday and they were talking about how they have all these ideas of what they want to do with their business, but all this money is sitting in TSPs and IRAs and 401ks. And they're just sitting there waiting to have enough money to do something. When in fact, they do have enough money to do something. They're just acting as if they can't access it. Yes, you're going to access it with a penalty, 100%. However, do we borrow money from the bank or do we have the penalty? That's 100% up to you. It does not frankly matter to me. But we have to get the money in somewhere. You're going to either have to beat Parkinson's law, or maybe we have money sitting around and we just need to think about it differently. I've also had the question recently from several existing clients, how much death benefit do I need? I don't feel like I'm insured enough. And I had a conversation yesterday with some clients, and it was the husband felt like they needed more insurance on him. And I was explaining that, yes, if we have, less than $1 million, let's say it was 700,000, just round the numbers. And I said, if that takes you $100,000 a year to live, that's 7 years of income. That's it. 7 years. And I said, in those 7 years, upon his death, you get to decide, are we going to sell the farm? Are we going to keep the cows? Are we going to hire somebody? Do we have to learn how to do the rotational grazing? What are all those things, those decisions that she is going to have to make upon his passing, as well as take care of 3 kids and herself, emotionally, physically, all that good stuff. Like, having an excess amount of money to say, you know what, I have absolutely zero financial burden right now. That is what is most important. And she said, oh, I've never thought of it that way. And I talk to almost all my clients about that if that subject comes up. And I've talked about it before in podcasts, I frankly don't care how much debt you have to death benefit you have. That, yes, you want to have enough death benefit to take care of the debt. But the debt has payments, and we need enough to make the payments. We need more money to make sure that our family is able to live comfortably without worry and mourn our passing and take care of kids emotionally, because there is going to be an emotional factor to all of this. And everybody mourns differently. Some people will mourn and 6 months they're good. Some people it's 10 years. It depends who it is. And you can't tell somebody how to mourn. And you have to be ready for the vultures that, oh my goodness, if somebody passes away, is that business for sale? Is that land for sale? Are you going to sell the cows? Are you going to keep the cows? They're asking you this crap at the funeral. And I've done a podcast on that, and you guys know how riled up I can get. The death benefit is there so that we have the ability to mourn and we have the ability to create generational wealth, which is what is super, super important. So let's make sure that we have enough death benefit. Now, the insurance companies say 15 to 30 times your gross income, depending on how old you are. So they want a lot of insurance on you, far more than any of you think that you should have. I want you to think about that. If you die, what is it costing your family to live today? If you have payments on things, what are the payments plus the cost of living? What are all those things that you do not want your family to have to sell anything in a fire sale? We want to make sure that we have enough time to just do whatever it is we want on our time frame, and nobody can force us into anything. So there's not a magic number. I'm not an agent that's like, oh, you need $1 million of death benefit. Because frankly, I don't think $1 million is enough. I mean, even if you're living on $40,000 a year, that's going to get you by. But how long? If we're living on $40,000 a year, we're probably not older individuals. We're probably really young, which means we have a long time to live without that spouse or whoever it was that passed away. So something to think about, okay? If you pass away, what do you want your family to have so that they're able to mourn? And it's not about leaving them rich. It's about leaving them with opportunities. Do we want the kids to have money to go to college? Do we want mom to be able to stay home? If it's mom that passes, do we want dad to be able to quit his job and make sure the kids are emotionally taken care of? All of those things are factors. Here's another one, using cash. I've had this a lot lately, and I may have talked about it in a previous podcast, but I have a lot of people that are coming into this cash, or they have a cash influx, and now they feel guilty and they're like, Mary Jo, I did it all wrong. I didn't get it through a policy first, and we bought X, Y, and Z and whatever. Okay, first of all, you don't have to feel guilty when you talk to me. Like, I'm not here to judge you. Like, that's going to happen upon your death. The big man upstairs is judging, not me. So if you are using cash, guess what? So do I. If you are borrowing money from the bank, guess what? So do I. There are times when we want to leverage stuff. There are times when we are going to need to use cash because we need to make quick decisions in our business. And so if you have recently bought a whole bunch of stuff with cash, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 worth of stuff with cash, great, fantastic. Just make sure that you pay that cash back plus interest. It wasn't just free money. Essentially, you lent it to the business to buy something. If you came into, let's say you came into $100,000 and you went and bought a brand new Tahoe, well, you should be making payments back to yourself for that Tahoe over the next 5 years, really, not 6, 5 years. The fact that, here's the thing. The fact that people are going out 6, 7, I think I heard the other day you can go 8 years on a vehicle. That is insane, people. If you can't pay that thing off in 5 years, you're going to be upside down. Vehicles have never held their value, in my opinion. Okay. I did a 6-year loan on one of my vehicles. I was almost backwards and I was hardly driving. I would never do anything more than a 5. So if you can't pay yourself back in 5 years, then you shouldn't be buying it because you can't afford the payment. I don't care if it's cash or if we got it through the policy first. So if you had to use cash, okay, that is 100% fine. Just make sure you're paying yourself back plus interest. I am doing that with money that I used as cash. Now, it's not going back into savings though. It's going into a policy as premium. Okay. So I am paying myself back, but that is my new premium payment. And because I use cash as a down payment for land, I'll probably pay myself back for 15, 20 years. I don't know. We'll see how long it takes me. I made it a very large payment every single year. And so I was able to do that. Amortize it out. Figure out how long you want to do that. Cash is okay when we have to use it. These are not like gospel rules that you guys have to follow. It is a thought process. And this is exactly what I explained to my clients yesterday that I was visiting with. The life insurance policy is the policy. IBC is the thought process of exactly what I just went over. What do we do when we do have to use cash? The concept you don't need the life insurance policy for. The concept is the thought process. The policy just helps us get the uninterrupted compound interest. But even if you never bought a policy, you're going to be way better off than your peers just knowing that you should pay yourself back plus interest because nobody is telling you that. And then when do I start a new policy? When we keep using cash. So if you are somebody that has a life insurance policy and you never use the cash value, it's just there as a savings account, you don't have enough life insurance policies because you're never having to go to the policy to access money. You should have to go to the policy so that you have access to the money to go buy the things or start the businesses or whatever. But if you keep expanding your business with cash, that's just telling me that you don't have enough life insurance policies. We should be putting money into the policy. This particular couple, I absolutely love how they're running their operation. They are paying themselves land rent, which everybody should be doing. The farm should be paying land rent to you. Yes, you, if you own the land. And now this land rent is just sitting in this account. And I said, well, what's happening with the land rent money? Well, nothing, is just sitting there. I said, then that's money we could use to start another policy. 100%, because they are good business owners and they're honest about what they're doing. They are not stealing any peas. So they're paying themselves a land rent, but that land rent money is not, that is looked at, that is not even part of money they can use because it is a whole separate entity. Well, now let's use it so that it's compounding. And then when we need to buy more land, it'll still be there in cash value to buy the land. So we have to start new policies if we never go to the ones we have. Okay. And we don't need to start new policies until we pay the full premium in the ones we have and we make sure we're making loan payments. If we're not making loan payments and we're not filling up our policy that we currently have, there's no reason to be starting another policy. Just to have a policy, that doesn't make any sense. Maximize what you've got. Okay, I have others, but I'm close to 20 minutes, so that's enough. Let me know if you guys have comments, questions, concerns. If you have a podcast topic that you want to talk about, maybe something within the IBC world that you are seeing other people are saying, and you just need clarification on that, or you want my 2 cents on something, let me know. I am happy to do that. I just need to know what it is. Mary Jo at withoutthebank.com. If you've not gotten the books yet, go grab the books at withoutthebank.com or farmingwithoutthebank.com. Schedule your free 1.5-hour consultation. And if you can do it this summer, that is fantastic because then when you start your policy, we're going to be starting our policy in the fall, which is the best time for you guys, not the summer. So get your stuff scheduled. We'll talk and let me know if you need anything else. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.